I'm always pretty much honored to have Ryan Jarrell as my guest, and today we are going to go with UFC 259. We're going to go through main card because I've got really many questions, and it's always a great pleasure to have an expert as your guest. So, Ryan, I guess my fans already know everything about you. We can skip that part. We can go straight to the card. The first fight of the main card going to be Thiago Marreta Santos versus Alexander Rakic. I'm not going to go with technical data, as well as you know. I'm more of a technical guy. Everybody knows the score and such things. But what would you say about that fight? What do you generally think about Rakic versus Santos? You know that Santos is coming off powerful, let's say very terrible loss to Glover Teixeira. You know what happened in that fight. He had the finished fight and he failed to equalize. On the other side, we got Alexander Rakic in the best shape of his life. He outworked Anthony Smith. So what are your thoughts on this fight?
I'm really excited for this fight. First of all, let me just say it's always an honor for me to join you. So thank you for having me on again. And I really cannot wait for this pay-per-view card Saturday night. It's one of the ones that I've been looking forward to for a very long time. 3 title fights, obviously, headlining this main card. And to have this fight as the one that kicks it off, I mean, wow, what a fight to kick off the main card. And I'm really intrigued about this. To me, the thing that stands out to me here with this fight is you got one guy, and I'm not saying that Thiago Marreta Santos is out of his prime by any means, because he's not, but he is 37 years old. And when you get a little bit older in this sport, you just never know when you're going to go over that cliff. But Rakic, he's 29. He's 8 years younger than Santos. He's got a little bit of a reach here, which I think could play a major factor. It's going to be kind of like the bull versus the matador, in my opinion, for this fight, because Santos is a bull. And if he touches you, night. I mean, he can knock anybody out. But I really like Rakic. He's so diverse with his striking. He's a smart fighter. He's also a patient fighter. And I think that is going to really play into this fight. I think he's not going to rush, Santos, and he's just going to take his time. I'm really imagining, as long as Rakic doesn't get caught, I think he's going to win a decision here.
Yeah, I kind of agree with that one. My prediction for that fight was heavily leaning towards Rakic, but odds are dropping as we're getting close to the fight. Rakic was a super massive favorite. I think it was minus 200 earlier, minus 210. You know that I don't check it much, but I had a live stream with my fans, and they told me that odds are dropping, that more and more people are putting money on Marreta. So I assume more and more people think that Marreta is not going to make another stupid mistake. But knowing the fact that Marreta doesn't think too much during the fight, and knowing the fact that Rakic has a very good corner, a very technical corner, I would also lean towards Rakic, but I would be patient. I would be, let's say, cautious in that fight.
Yeah, I will say this. Santos has the most impressive win out of these guys. I mean, he beat the current champion, Blachowicz, and I believe it was in the 3rd round. Again, so it goes right back to what I was saying about the power that Santos has. If Rakic makes a mistake, it really could be a massive problem for him with Santos' power. But I'm big on Rakic. I think he's someone that is going to continue to climb the rankings. And this is a really important test for him. If he wants to be a title contender here moving forward, this is a vital win. He has to come in, look impressive, and if he doesn't get Santos out of there, at least to win a clear-cut fight here.
Yeah, absolutely. Now we're going to skip to the next fight, considering your time is limited. We're going with Islam Makhachev versus Drew Dober. Islam Makhachev, well, to me, after Khabib, he is, at least to me, the greatest sambo fighter. He has some great sambo takedowns, sambo throws, plus you know that he's a left-handed guy. I'm not going to lie to you. I heavily favor left-handed guys. On the other side, Drew Dober is one of the most durable fighters, great cardio machine, good striker. I mean, I would call Drew Dober an all-rounder. And right now, it's kind of hard to say. This fight, kind of hard, but I'm leaning towards Makhachev, especially considering the fact that he outworked Arman Tsarukyan, heavily underrated Arman Tsarukyan. I mean, if you watched Arman Tsarukyan's last fight, then you definitely know what am I talking about, right?
Oh, for sure, and I'm with you there as well. I'm leaning towards him to win this fight here. You know, Drew Dober, his striking is really elite. I mean, when he wins and wins impressively, it's on the feet. He's knocking people out. He's stinging them with his hands and then getting the finish. However, when you look at his record and the losses that he has, a lot of them are by submission. What does Makachev do well? If he gets you on the ground and you make one mistake, he's submitting you and ending the fight. That's how I see this fight ending. I'm a big Drew Dober fan. I've interviewed him before. I think he's got a great ceiling, but stylistically with this matchup, if he doesn't keep it on the feet, I think he's in big trouble. He's been submitted a number of times before, and right now Makac is one of those guys that really could do that here. I'm actually picking second round sub for Islam here.
Actually, in this fight, I'm gonna go with Islam Makhachev, but I don't know whether Islam Makhachev is going to fish for a submission because the problem is Islam Makhachev is a very, very technical fighter. You know, if he feels that fighting with you is not gonna result in a good way for him, he will stay away from fighting. If you watched his fight against Arman Tsarukyan, there were throws, but there were moments when he was circling around Arman and Arman was chasing him. And then when they asked him why he was doing this, he said, no. I want 2 rounds. Why would I waste my time in round 3? And it makes sense to me. I don't know what you think about it.
Yeah, no, that does make sense. Let me ask you this, because this is the only way that I see Drew Dober winning this fight is if he catches him on the feet. Dober's not going to win this fight if it goes the distance to a decision. Do you think that Dober can catch him and finish him on the feet? Because that's the only way I see him getting a win.
Now let me elaborate. Makhachev is having like this guard, and it's hard to catch him because he's holding this hand here, you know. But Makhachev is very much weak with weaving overhand right. Sorry, weaving overhand left, not right. He's holding this, but this, you know, there is a big space here. But I've never seen Drew Dober doing a good left hook or good overhand left. What do you think about that?
Yeah, I can't think of anything off the top of my head that jogs my memory to see that from his past fights. So yeah, again, like you said earlier, and I'm agreeing with you. Makhachev, I'm leaning towards him this fight. Dober's a live dog. He's got a lot of power in him, but I just think that Makhachev is too well rounded. And if the fight gets dicey on the feet, he's going to be able to lock him up, maybe do some dirty boxing, grind him against the fence, and get him down, which really would be his world.
Yeah. All right, this is the fight I've been mostly asked for. Many people asked me about Petr Yan versus Aljamain Sterling. Many people. I mean, every second fan asks me about that fight. And I'm always saying if Aljo drags it to the ground, he has the greatest chances to win the fight. If it goes the distance, no way. Also, if it remains on the feet, no way. What do you think about Yan versus Sterling?
I am so intrigued by this fight. For some reason, I don't know why, but I thought Sterling was taller than what he is. I was looking at their measurables before this interview, and they're both 5'7". I think maybe just because Sterling has that high flat top where it makes him look taller, but for whatever reason, I thought he was much taller. He does have a longer reach. He's got 4 inches on a reach over Yan. And this really is such an intriguing matchup because Sterling he's so strong. He's so good. And between both guys, I feel like Sterling easily has the most impressive win. All due respect to Jose Aldo. I mean, Yan really decimated Aldo and made him he didn't look really that good in that fight. And that was a very impressive performance by Yan. But what Sterling did to Sandhagen, to get him out there and finish him the way that he did, man, that opened up my eyes to just how good this guy is. Now, Yan is the champion. He's a champion for a reason. He's got some big wins. You know, Uriah Faber, Jimmy Rivera, which I'm high on Jimmy Rivera, even though he lost to Munoz recently. Yan's the real deal, and he's a legit champion. But having said that, Sterling is going to be his most difficult test to date. And I think Sterling's pedigree on the feet, how well he mixes up his strikes and his kicks. And then if this does go to the ground with how scrappy he is and how good he is with his BJJ, this is going to be such an intriguing fight. I'm on the fence. I don't really know who I'm going to pick, but if I had to choose one guy, I think I'm going with the American. I think I'm going with Sterling to win this one.
Yeah, I understand. I mean, I would go with Sterling if the fight gets dragged to the ground, but I think Jan's stamina is way better. Plus, I think Jan is way better on the feet. But you never know, of course. I mean, he outworked Jose Aldo in rounds 4 and 5. Also, if Aldo drags the fight to the ground early on while the fighters are not sweaty, he has the greatest chances of this world. But I would still go with Jan, but we'll see. I mean, we'll
I can see
absolutely see.
it going either way. I will say that I will not be surprised if Piotr Jan wins this fight. I mean, he is that good. And look, both of these guys, they're right at the top of the division. And, I think whoever wins and whoever loses, they're probably going to see each other again in the relative near future. So whoever loses this fight, they're going to get a chance to get that win back, whether it's 2 fights from now or 4 fights from now. It doesn't really matter. These guys are going to remain in the top of the 135-pound division, and they will meet again.
Yeah, absolutely. I would like to watch their second match, especially if their first match gets pretty, in my state, we like to say bombastic. It means like fighters that are going to swarm all over the place.
Let me ask you this. What would you do with TJ Dillashaw right now? Because he's the former champ. He never really lost the belt, and now everyone wants to fight him coming off of his suspension. Who would you match up Dillashaw with right now? And would you give him, the winner of maybe this fight?
No, I would never give him a winner because in my culture, there is the belief if you're a cheater, then you must pay for your cheating. So I would give him a fighter under top 5, just because of his evil actions. But that's just me and my culture. I don't know how things work in the USA. Maybe it's a different culture back there.
No, a lot of people feel the exact same way as you do, and I don't disagree with you at all. I do feel like TJ should maybe win 1 or 2 fights before he gets a title shot. Whether he lost the belt or not, because of him popping for steroids, it doesn't really matter. He cheated. He got suspended. Now he needs to work his way back. However, he's still young enough for this division where I think he could really present some problems for the guys at the top of the division as long as he hasn't lost too much of his quickness. So it's going to be intriguing to see what happens because Dillashaw, when he's at his best, who knows? We'll find out if the steroids had anything to do with that. But it's going to be interesting to see what happens with him moving forward.
Yeah, we'll see, absolutely. Now let's go to the next fight. Megan Anderson versus Amanda Nunes. Many people, including me, believe Amanda Nunes is going to win, but many people believe Amanda Nunes is going to decimate Megan Anderson. I heavily disagree. I think Felicia Spencer was heavily bettered against Amanda Nunes, but that girl has chin. I also think Megan has chin, and it's not going to be easy to catch Megan with a weaving overhand right. She is not vulnerable to weaving overhand right because she is very tall, number 1. And number 2, she knows to do a step drag backward very well. I mean, people are ignoring that, and they especially look at the fight against Kazingano, what happened. She has good left high kick. I'm not going to say she can catch Amanda Nunes, but many people, Megan is heavily underrated in this fight. So what are your thoughts on this one? I'm favoring Nunes, but I'm staying slightly favoring Nunes. I don't think she's going to decapitate her opponent.
Yeah, well, it's going to be intriguing because Megan Anderson, she's big for the division. She's long. We'll see if she's going to be able to keep Nunes like at the end of her jab and kind of use her length in this fight. I mean, look, the way that I feel about women's MMA and Amanda Nunes, it's Amanda Nunes' world, and the rest of these ladies are just living in it. She is head and shoulders better than everyone except Valentina Shevchenko, in my humble opinion. That's the fight that I would like to see. I'd like to see Nunes and Shevchenko again because those two ladies are just on another planet. I'm not disrespecting Megan Anderson by any means. MMA math isn't always right. I mean, Megan did lose to Felicia Spencer, and Nunes battered Spencer pretty handily in that fight. Not saying that MMA math is going to equal out for this fight. However, I would be shocked if Amanda Nunes doesn't win this fight and win it convincingly. I feel like the only way that she's not going to is if she's not as motivated as she was when she was younger, when she was hungry, climbing to be the champion. I mean, what do they say about Conor McGregor? Once he started, sleeping in those silk sheets, it's tough to get out of bed in the morning and go and chase your dream because you've already achieved so much success. I don't think that that's the case with Amanda Nunes right now. I think she's still the hungry lioness that she portrays. But it's going to be interesting to see, because every fight that goes on, a little bit more wear and tear on her body. How much does she want it? How hungry is she to stay at the top? And every challenger that she gets is going to give her their best shot. And Megan Anderson is going to come to fight. She's a gamer, and she's very well rounded. I just don't think she's going to be able to beat Nunes. I can't pick against Amanda until I actually see her lose. The one lady that I would be on the fence about, again, is Valentina Shevchenko. So I'm going Nunes here, and I think it's a slam dunk.
I don't know about the slam dunk. They taught us here, that you can have a slam dunk only when the fight is finished, But before the fight, claiming for a slam dunk, okay, I mean, I accept it, but I'm not a guy who likes to be so sure about something. That's just not me, man. I also favor, of course, I would be shocked if Megan wins, but if she keeps her at the end of her jab, anything can happen, I mean. But I give like 15-20% to Megan Anderson for a victory. You?
Yeah, I would say about that, maybe 10% for me. To me, it just comes down to how motivated is Amanda Nunes at this point. From everything that I've seen, she just looks like she's on another level than all the ladies that she's been competing against recently. I mean, what she did to Cyborg, to me, I was like, I'm never going to bet against her again. I didn't think she would beat Cyborg. I thought Cyborg would be too big, too strong, too physical. And speed kills. And Amanda's speed and how technical she was and precise with those shots. Wow, I became a huge fan of hers after that, and I just can't bet against the Lioness right now.
Yeah, so we agree on this one. Now let's get into the main event of the evening. Easy Boy versus Jan Blachowicz. Jan Blachowicz is a 205er by nature, and he is the former KSW champ, but I said I'm gonna go with more technical approach. Yeah, Blachowicz is slower, but he hits harder. He is a Polish raw power, man. Everybody knows that. On the other side, Israel Adesanya doesn't weigh much above 185. He's not dropping too many pounds. I think this time he gained some muscle. So, do you think we will see the domination of speed over power or the power over speed?
Man, I don't know. That's the question. I can't wait for this fight. I'm a big fan of both of these guys. Adesanya is amazing. He really is. He's the modern day version Anderson Silva. When Anderson the Spider Silva was in his prime and he was front kicking Vitor Belfort and just demolishing the middleweight division, that's Israel Adesanya today. I mean, he's that good. Look, you know how much I love Robert Whittaker. Robert Whittaker is one of my top 3 all-time favorite fighters, and my jaw hit the ground when Adesanya knocked him out like that. I didn't see it coming. Now, granted, I interviewed Whittaker after that fight, and he had a lot of personal issues going on, and he really wasn't 100% himself, and that may have played into the outcome of that fight. I don't want to take anything away from Adesanya. I think a second fight with Whittaker, I'm really intrigued by that. I think it could be a little bit different, but I have the utmost respect for Adesanya and how technical he is, and he's not going to get baited into what Blachowicz wants to do. I mean, you look at what he did against Yoel Romero, that fight. Granted, a lot of people were like, oh, that was boring fight. They really didn't get after it. Well, Adesanya is not going to risk it against someone as big and powerful as Yoel Romero, who can close the show and with one punch. And that's the case with Jan Blachowicz. And Jan, I think it's Blachowicz, right? Anyways, Blachowicz is so much better than he was even a few years ago. He got back those wins over Jimmy Manuwa and Corey Anderson and did it in impressive fashion. He's in his prime right now, and he's a massive light heavyweight. What he did to Dominic Reyes, I mean, that was so impressive and scary for the rest of the 205-pound division. It's going to be interesting to see if Adesanya's technical prowess on the feet is going to be able to translate into this matchup with the current champion. Jan Blachowicz is a problem, and he is freakishly strong. If I'm him, what I'm trying to do is close the space, trap him up against the cage, dirty box him, make it tough, make it a gritty fight, get him down on the ground, beat him up. You don't want to stand at distance with Israel Adesanya. You just don't want to do that. And I think Blachowicz is smart enough to know that. But as you know too, Adesanya, he's got a lot of gamesmanship in him. Is he going to taunt him? Is he going to do anything to kind of play mind games with him and get in his head? Because if he does, he could get him out of his game plan and end up catching him and finishing him. But having said that, Blachowicz he's so good. This is a coin flip to me. Much like I said with Nunes, I can't see her losing right now. I can't pick against her. I feel the same way about Adesanya to a degree, but definitely at middleweight minus Whitaker. I want to see that second fight again. But at 205, I'm not so sure that he's big and strong enough to mess with the top guys at this division. But we're going to find out. Pay $70 for this pay-per-view on Saturday night. And that's the question that everyone wants to know. And if he does win, does it set up a fight with John Jones down the line? Because those two don't like one another. That would be amazing. As far as who wins, I don't know. I'm staying away from betting on this one. Flip a coin. Whichever side it lands on, I'm good with it. Who do you see winning?
I also see it as a coin flip, and my prediction will be the fight will not go the distance. I was initially in the early predictions favoring Israel Adesanya, but then I was thinking, man, the cage is smaller, and that's good for Blachowicz. Plus, Blachowicz is a BJJ black belt. If the fight gets dragged to the ground, you know which way might it go. I mean, on the other side, Israel Adesanya defended from Kelvin Gastelum when he was on his back. He was able to scramble up, get back on his feet, so... Technically, I think so. I think the fight will not go the distance. Someone is going to get knocked out. It's just a matter who, you know. We never know which way could it play out. On the other side, Israel Adesanya is better in the later rounds. But Blachowicz is not a fast starter anymore. He used to be a fast starter. Now he is not. He actually made a huge style transition. He's been through a huge style transition, and it worries me, you know. We might see a boring fight. We might see a fireworks. I don't know which way is it going to go, but I only think the fight will not go the distance. So, yeah, as you have already said, 185, Adesanya was dominant, but at 205, he is one. I don't want to sound disrespectful, but he is one of the fastest, maybe even the fastest, but at the same time, one of the weakest guys in the division without strike power. So it's going to be hard. I just say the fight will not go the distance. Somebody's going to get shut down.
Yeah, I like the point that you made too about the cage being smaller here at the Apex versus, you know, out in Abu Dhabi. It's a significant difference. I do think that favors Blachowicz quite a bit. You also mentioned Gastelum, which I think is an interesting comparison because Gastelum, as great of a wrestler and as good of a fighter as he is, I mean, he made his name at welterweight. I mean, Blachowicz is a whole nother beast. I mean, significantly bigger and stronger than Gastelum. So this is going to be a totally different animal for Israel Adesanya. And if he finds a way to get past Blachowicz and wins the belt, man, oh man, he's going to be right at the top of that pound for pound discussion of the best in the world right now. I mean, he already is, but I mean, he might be at the tippy top if he wins this 205 belt. But I'm really intrigued about this fight. You know who the winner is going to be. It's going to be all of us. It's going to be the fans who get to watch this because whoever wins and whoever loses, there's so many great matchups moving forward depending on what the UFC wants to do. The thing that I'm really intrigued about is he going to go back to 185? Is he going to defend the belt? Is he going to vacate it and fight at 205? I'm really intrigued about that because those answers we don't have just yet. So I think we will after Saturday night.
Yeah, I agree with that one. That would generally be it, considering you're running low on time. Me too. I got another work too, got to design some things. So thank you so much for being my guest again. I hope to release it in like 2 hours. I will send you the link.
Okay. Hey, always a pleasure, my friend. I'll have you back on my show again here real soon. And again, it's always a pleasure chatting with you, buddy.
Thank you so much. Have a great day, Ryan, and catch you all next time.
All right, bud.
All right.
See you later.